Thank you very much. Now we move on. U.S. President Donald Trump has bought at least $82 million in corporate and municipal bonds from late August to early October, including new investments in sectors benefiting from his policies. While financial disclosures were made public, according to reforms released by the U.S. Office of Government Ethics, Trump has made more than 175 financial purchases between August 28th and October 2nd. The disclosures were filed under the 1978 Ethics in Government Act, which do not specify exact amounts for each transaction and instead list them within broad financial ranges. The maximum total value of the bond purchases have exceeded over $337 million. Trump's new bond investments span several industries, including sectors that have already benefited or are benefiting from his administration's policy changes, such as financial deregulation. However, corporate bonds acquired by Trump includes offerings from chipmakers such as Broadcom and Qualcomm, tech companies such as Meta Platforms, retailers, and Home Depot, as well as CVs, and Wall Street banks such as Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Now we move on. A delegation from the Caribbean community will meet British officials this week to discuss reparations for slavery and colonialism. CARICOM advocates say addressing the historical injustices of slavery and their lasting effects, including racism, is long overdue. The plan includes calls for a formal apology, education programs, debt cancellation, and monetary compensation. The visit runs from November 17th to 20th and aims to strengthen partnerships and promote public education on the reparations agenda. Reparations debates have faced opposition in Europe, with leaders like British Prime Minister Keir Starmer preferring to focus on the future. Still, the issue was highlighted at last year's Commonwealth Summit, where leaders agreed the time had come to discuss it. A 2025 poll shows most Britons remain unaware that over 3 million Africans were forcibly transported to the Caribbean. Now for this discussion, we welcome Robinder Sachdev. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, how might the UK government balance domestic political opposition with international pressure to address these reparations for slavery, colonialism, including their own in India as well, and African countries and Caribbean? And given the UK's colonial history in India, how might these demands for reparation influence to or reinvigorate or navigate similar calls for accountability from India?
No, absolutely. And not only from India, even Africa also, right? Wherever the British had colonies, those nations, this can become a precedent. And that's what the British and British government want to absolutely sideline and avoid. Also to be noted is that, the Caribbean nations, they're talking about reparations, but they're not talking money per se, right? They're talking much more equity, and also what's happening, you see the COP is happening right now, the issue of climate change and all.
Yes.
What seems to be happening is that the West is tightening its purse, especially for development fund and development financing, right? Even the US has cut down, USAID is, disbanded. Climate change, none of those, monies are coming in for sustainable development and such. Many of these nations are island nations. The issue of water, drinking water also. So within that context, the reparations they're asking for is more in a sense of that going forward, the UK should step up with some formulas wherein, these nations, their interests are somewhat addressed. So that's one issue. The second for the British is obviously, it will open up a Pandora's box, a precedent with Africa, South Asia, why India, Pakistan also, right? So it will open up a Pandora's box. And then not only the British, it could set a trend for other erstwhile colonial powers also. The French have been, the Germans have been, the Dutch have been, the Spaniards have been, the Portuguese have been. So, though I mean the British are not concerned with what other Europeans face, but still at the same time, I think other governments also at least keeping an eye out on these developments.
And do you think that this, to what extent could this UK's response to CARICOM's reparations agenda sets a precedent for, you already mentioned that this could set a precedent. Do you see this President Modi's government also joining this and asking or Keir Starmer or British Prime Minister to acknowledge and negotiating on educational programs, monetary compensation. Even in a lot of Indian movies, we see that Kohinoor issue come up a lot. Do you think this could take place sometime?
Yeah, it could, especially the cultural artifacts on which they already have been let's say steps taken and all. But I think on the whole there would be another optics or another geopolitics which will play out. India would not want to be seen as asking the UK of some favors. India thinks itself as a world economy now and not dependent upon doles. But yes, if it is to kind of rectify, if not rectify, if it is to kind of create some acknowledgement of the past, of the past slavery and related injustices and cruelties, then I think India could, but it will not be perhaps, that's what I think, perhaps it will not be in terms of reparations. Even the Caribbean folks, yeah, they are asking somewhat a mix of more involvement in the policy and reparations, as in, financing, development financing, not reparations directly. India will probably not do that. That is my sense.
Right. And lastly, how might this lack of public awareness within British citizens in UK regarding the scale of transatlantic slave trade and also the colonial past of UK, including the past with India, affect the political feasibility and public reception of these reparations initiatives?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think humanity and nations have been absolutely insular, not caring concerning of what hardships they've caused in the past. America is one big example of slavery. The
Yes.
entire continent of Africa, starting off from Liberia, they could be suing or asking for reparations. In fact, they should be. Okay,
Yes.
so this whole discussion definitely I think it is good because it brings the former masters, to account. It holds them to account. It reminds them as to what they've done. But it's not only to remind them. The point is, moving forward, can there be more equity in the global theater? So another one, nation which could look at it with deep interest. We were talking only Europeans. I would say, why not America? Because America would face, should face then calls for reparations from the hundreds of thousands of slaves which were taken for cotton plantations. America is built upon that.
100%. Yes, indeed. Indeed, many countries are built upon that. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well.